Okay, so, oh, my PowerPoint won't go. Okay, so today I'm going to give the introduction. I'm going to go over my goals for the session. We'll talk about how big the sphere is because that is important for the 7 levels of communication because it's all about building a relationship business that feeds you referrals. I then will share 2 strategies and the results that I have, 2 strategies I used and the results that I've received from them, and then give you more detail on the Referral Mastermind. And feel free to ask questions at any time. So my name is Monique Harps. I'm a realtor licensed with eXp Realty in Virginia, the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. I am a certified referral trainer for the 7 levels of communication. My background prior to becoming an agent, I was in project management and supply chain management for about 11 years. I am an Air Force reservist, which is why I am coming to you guys from Mississippi right now. So right now I'm not practicing transactional real estate in Virginia just because I'm here for 6 months. And then I run with Team RWB. And I'm a Dave Ramsey fan. And those are just 2 things about me that I will reference later on because it talks more so into the size of my sphere and how I am expanding it. So my goal today is to provide massive value and then to tell you how I can help you more. So in the massive value, I just hope that there's something I say that whether you decide to or not to join us for the 8-week series, that you could still take something away from this and put it into your business and grow it. So I always like to start with the story Acres of Diamonds. And if you have never heard of it, the high level story is that there was this African farmer who had heard stories of, you know, the success of others finding these diamonds all around the continent. And so he sold his land to go looking for these diamonds. Well, the person who bought his land found a shiny stone on a stream in the property that turned out to be a diamond. And he then he farmed his land, mined his land looking for diamonds, and became one of the richest men ever. And then, but the guy who sold his land looking for these diamonds ended up being poor and dying. So with that said, you know, it's not always greener on the other side. And I like this story specifically in real estate because we spend so much time trying to meet strangers. We spend not only time, but money, whether like, you know, we're doing door hangers or flyers or online marketing, Facebook marketing, Zillow leads, Realtor.com, that type of stuff. And we don't necessarily put that same time, energy, and money into the people we already know, and they already like us and trust us on some level. So I use this to say, don't overlook the people who are closest to you. So our acre of diamonds is our sphere. And so I ask you these questions, like, if you have an estimate of how many you know, feel free to chime in. I ask, how many contacts are in your phone? You know, in the last session I did, there was a guy who had 9,000 contacts in his phone. I have no idea how he got them, but that is a pretty big area. If you think about having 9,000 homes, you could door knock or cold call, but these people actually know you on some level. Why not lean into them with love, appreciation, and generosity to earn their referrals? And then we also have Facebook, if you're on Facebook, and then LinkedIn. And some people use some people use Instagram. I just don't lean into my Instagram that much because it's not really geared at growing communities. It's more for influence. So with that said, I have direct communication to all of these people through some messaging source. And so here's what mine looks like. I was surprised too. My phone I wasn't surprised about because I was pretty aware, but when I added in my Facebook and my LinkedIn, I had 3,300 people that I'm going to go out on a limb and say I probably have only talked to maybe 200 of them about real estate. Now, they may know because they've seen a Facebook post or my LinkedIn was updated, but that's probably it. But only about 100 or 200 that I actively engage them with a conversation about real estate. So I hope you guys have numbers that are this big too, because that means that there's a lot of opportunity. And you hear statistics that say that like 1 in 20 people will move every year, which is that's 5 in every 100. And if you think about having 3,300 times 5, well, not 3,300, but 33 times 5, that's all the deals anybody could want and need in a year. So, so your sphere, it's made up of your top 5 to 150 people, and depending on where you are in your business, you may not know who these 5 to 150 people are who are supporting your business in a way. Like, think of these are people who've given you referrals, multiple referrals. Like, those are going to be who your core top 5 to 150 would be. Then you have current and past clients, your networking partners and affiliates, if that's something that you do. I know not everyone does like networking groups. You have your Facebook friends, out-of-town agents. And the reason we use out-of-town agents is because then those agents will see and know like what we're doing in our area. And when they know or hear of someone coming to our area, they are also a resource for us and vice versa. Then you have everyone you've ever met, and then every lead, including online leads. And to give you an idea about these online leads, like we all have people that we've gotten through resources prior to being introduced to the 7 levels of communication. And that's where these people would fall. We don't really have a relationship with them. They're just in our bucket because someone said they may or may not be buying or selling a house. And there's a guy in Minnesota who invited 1,000 online leads to an event, and 65 of them showed up. And his first win out of that 65 was a CEO of a company that was beginning to relocate people to the area. And so that turned out to be a pretty good win for him. So you see, our sphere is pretty big, and in my experience, is normally bigger than most people think it is. So the 7 levels of communication. It is a business novel. So it's written like a story, but it's to teach like different principles and helping us to build our business, and has over 88 strategies for us to use to build referral business. And these strategies are not all like, you know, one strategy is to have one-on-one meetings, but then other strategies are more working on who we are as people and our schedules, like time blocking and having like evening and morning rituals to help us become the people we need to be in order to serve our spheres to earn their referrals. And so our whole mastermind series will be built off of this book. We will read this book together and then start implementing. You will not implement everything over the course of 8 weeks. We'll just get started in the direction to build over time. So the 7 levels, they start at the bottom, and that's advertising. And we all know about advertising. You know, ads here in magazines. Here in Mississippi, I don't know about where everyone else, I do know Hampton Roads, but I know in Florida, I don't know if this is the case. But they're all over like bus stop benches here. And I found that interesting, but that's advertising. And then we have our direct mail, which, you know, you're just sold, you're just listed, may go out, electronic communication, newsletters, things through social media, handwritten notes. So the bottom 3 are in the information zone. And that is just us pushing information to a broad group of people. It may be targeted in some way. Maybe you target by geography or, income level or an apartment building. But what we want to do is, if we're going to do those things, we want to target on our sphere. And we don't want to overload them with that, but we do want to get them information. And then handwritten notes is the point at which it becomes a little bit more personal, because you took the time to be like, I'll use Carla as an example. Hey, Carla, thank you for attending the information session. I hope you got a lot out of it, and we look forward to seeing your business grow. Thank you, Monique. So that's just like a personal touch. I drop it in the mail and I get it to her. And you can do this with your buyers, your partners, like your lenders, title, like those kind of people, just to really build that relationship and show them that you appreciate them, and you want to continue to develop. And then we move into the phone calls, which is the first level on the influential zone. And one thing I tell everyone about the influential zone is you are most influential if you can use your voice to communicate. So phone calls, you can be calling to check on people, see how you can help them, and then also to give and receive referrals, of course. And then the next level, and that takes more time. So, making those dials, but you don't have to go anywhere. And then we move into events and seminars. So your events and seminars could be like a home buyer seminar, or some type of educational seminar. Like you could be teaching people about winterizing their home or something like that, or credit repair. And since it's your sphere, so for example, in my sphere, I have a lot of runners. So I could host a seminar for runners that has nothing to do with real estate, but it is a seminar and it's educational. And then events. Events is something you can do on a big scale and invite thousands of people, or a small scale for like 20 people. And 7L, like when you read the book 7L, there's not a lot about events in the book, but it is one of the core things. And it is a core thing that we use to reach people, because we need to make phone calls, send invitations, and electronically communicate with the people. And so we get a lot of touches out of an event. And I will share more. This is one of the strategies I use. And so I'll share more about how it worked and the results from that. And then, of course, one-on-one. So, at that point that you're one-on-one, sitting with somebody, maybe it's a Zoom call if it's across, state lines. Maybe it is at a coffee shop. But your relationship with people you're in one-on-ones with is deeper than the person that you've only ever had a phone call with. And then while you're in that conversation, you want to find out how you can serve them, how you can help them, and they will inevitably ask you how they can help you. And if they don't ask, there's a good chance that they may not be on the same wavelength as far as the whole like giving and receiving for taking your relationship to another level in terms of referrals. So now I will share my strategies that I've done. So I chose to do a networking stack. I was in a networking group that had 300 plus people. I'd been in it for about a year and a half, but I really didn't know what people did, and I'd never really done one-on-ones with anyone. So I set out and emailed everybody that I had an email address for, and I asked if they wanted to have a one-on-one. Some did, some didn't, and some just never replied back, and that was okay. And I had them on Thursdays at 8, 9, 10, 12, 1, and 2. So that meant that I was potentially sitting down with 6 people every week. Now, sometimes people didn't show or they canceled. So I would say on average, I saw 4 new people a week. And then I had 2 additional hours that I could just work on whatever I wanted to. I did have it at Panera Bread, and that's mostly important because if you read the book, in the book, the place is really fancy, and fancy wasn't something I could do. It wasn't in my budget at the time. And so I was just like, done is better than perfect. So I chose to just do Panera. I would normally buy lunch or drink for myself each week. And then when people came in, they would buy their own drink before they sat down often, or their own food before they came to me. And my results from this were that of the 28 people that I sat down with, only 17 of them 17 of them did not have go-to agents. And that's important because as agents, we think everybody knows a real estate agent. Everyone has a real estate agent. So I have 17 opportunities to build relationships and become the real estate agent of choice with these people. And in this organization also, I want you to know that there are two top-level sponsors that have their logos on everything, and they speak at every single function we have, and we have a function every week. And they were not mentioned. And of the remaining 11 people, the ones who did have go-to agents often were in BNI, and that's who they referred their business to. So I found it very interesting that of 28 people, nobody had a go-to agent that was in the organization, and we have at least 20 agents in there. So keep that in mind as you go forward. And with network stacking, I also got a lot of my time back because everybody came to me, and they came to me on the same day, and I didn't have to go anywhere. And then unless it was someone really important, I didn't do meetings on any other day of the week. So my next strategy that I implemented was a milkshake event at Cookout. And for those of you on the call that aren't in an area that have the Cookout is like a hamburger place, but they also serve milkshakes, and they have 40 flavors. I chose to do this on National Milkshake Day from 5:30 to 7:30 on a Thursday. I made the date and time convenient to me because no matter what you pick, no one will be there. But someone's not going to be able to make it. I connected with my sponsors, and I asked them if they would sponsor up to $100 and provide a $50 door prize. So the reason it's up to $100 is that was so that I could confirm up to 100 guests. And they agreed. I had a lender, home inspector, and a photographer. The photographer didn't contribute financially. She contributed her services. And then we had a charity partner, and we collected socks for the homeless. So all this, so each of us spent, I think it was about $47 on milkshakes because about 50 people came. I invited 150, 96 RSVP'd, and 50 showed up, and that includes about 10 children. So for less than $100, we were able to reach $100 each. We were able to reach 50 people. This is just an example. I just did a quick e-bite invitation to them, and then I followed up with for confirmation with calls, text, and messenger. I did a lot of communicating. So if you're thinking of switching from like more traditional outreach methods, like instead of cold calling, what's going to happen is you're going to be calling your sphere. Like I currently have a goal to call everybody in my phone in the first quarter of this year. So I have 90 days to call 500 people. And if I was full-time and I wasn't in class 8 hours a day, I probably would have shrunk that goal to touch base a lot faster, and I would be planning an event. So I would be making a lot of calls. So it's not necessarily going to give you all your time. Like you're not going to be able to be like, oh, what I was doing in 5 days, I can do it in 1 day. You will get your time back, but know that you will be communicating with people. It'll just be people that already know you and like you. in doing things that you enjoy. It wasn't a fancy event. You can see this is the door prize entry bucket was a protein jar that I cut a hole in the lid. I made posters from I literally made those probably an hour before my event. And so it wasn't perfect. It wasn't fancy. There was like a milkshake bingo sheet. And then the thing with the flavor in their name is when they came to the event, they had to come see me to get that. And they put their name in their flavor and put it at the register so that when it was time for me to pay, we knew how many to pay for. And then I took those cards and wrote thank you cards and thanked everybody for coming. And I would say, oh, thank you, Lisa. I hope you enjoyed your banana pudding milkshake. So it just created an extra personal touch.
So where did you get their address from or whatever to send that note to?
Okay, so these are all people I know. So I already had some of their addresses. But when they, like this picture right here, oh, I'm sorry, I don't think you can see. So there was a registration table set up and I collected more addresses. And if I didn't have them, then I reached out via text or Facebook Messenger and I said, hey, I have this card I want to drop in the mail to you. What's a good address? And go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Oh, and since they knew me, they gave it to me freely.
Got you. And for like the event registration, because you know, I seen like I've done some of this, and then I'll have like email address, phone number, regular address, and I feel like sometimes that's a little bit much. But do you feel like it's more important to capture the email address versus the home address, or vice versa?
On the electronic invitation,
or on the registration table when you're having people sign in?
So I think it's easier to get that information up front. So I used Evite on this event, but I would in the future, in future events after that, I've used Eventbrite because it allows you to collect that information and make it required.
Okay.
So that would be my recommendation, is to use Eventbrite so that you can collect that, because it makes it so much easier.
Right.
But if you were to have an event and a registration table and you didn't want to collect addresses, you could do it after the fact if you didn't have it.
Okay.
But also remember that your first couple of events would you really have to collect addresses, because if they're your sphere, then over time you're going to just have it. You should have less people without addresses in the long run.
Right. Okay, thank you.
No problem. That's a great question. It was. So here's just a few more pictures. This was our charity partner. So one thing about the event is I had my sponsors there, and I made sure they had a job while they were there. So everybody, all my people could meet them. So they registered with my lender. They dropped off their donation with my home inspector. And then, of course, I let them know who the photographer was, and I had the photographer try to capture everyone's picture. And the reason for that is because I do use Facebook pretty heavy within my community. So I don't do like ads or anything, but I try to be seen by like tagging people. So everyone who's at my event, I made sure their picture was there and that they were tagged so that their friends could see the milkshake event kind of thing. And then so that way, and then I sent them the pictures in the using send out cards. I sent them the pictures. And so like that way is you just start creating this online social community with your in real life people. So I try to use them together and not separately. And I highly recommend, if you can have a professional photographer as a sponsor or just pay for it, to have one, because the pictures are that much better. But you get more pictures than if you just have somebody take pictures with your phone. So we had door prizes. I told people in advance that door prizes would be given at 7:30. So if they wanted to come late, that was fine, but they knew 7:30 was the time. When I gave out the door prizes, I promoted my sponsors, and I used a door prize entry form. And on that entry form, it specifically says, are you thinking about buying or selling? Help us continue to give back to the community by letting us know who you think who is going to buy or sell, and then that that's going to buy or sell in the next like 6 months or something. But other questions were like, are you in need of professional photography services for cleaning and landscaping services? But it could be anything for a photo booth, car detailing. For a door prize entry form. It could be for a photo booth or car detailing. Whoever your sponsors are, each one of them gets a question on this door prize entry form, and that's how we ask for referrals. So I only had 2 sponsors, but I had several referrals for the other questions I had, so that was good. I was able to give those to them. So the results for me, my lender, and my home inspector, we ended up with 15 people who said that they were thinking about buying or selling, 1 referral, and then the manager of the location was looking to buy. And so of the 17, I'm nurturing about 1.7 million in future business. One couple, well, it'll be 1.5 now, but one couple I was under contract at 200,000, and then there was a couple looking to buy at 400, and then there was a buy and a sell at around the 350 range, and then 2 at the $200,000 range. So for less than $100 out of my pocket, and a total of like $300 out of 3 of our pockets, we were able to get this level of business or potential business to nurture from people who are already connected to us. And that was I only invited 150 people out of the 550 on my phone. Or if you even think of it bigger, out of the 3,300 that I know. So there's no telling what I could do if I was actively engaged in some level with my people, with my sphere as a whole.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Before I ask the question, I have an interview with Keller Williams at 1.
Okay.
So I sent you an email, but I wanted to ask you. So I'm thinking about, because I'm all over the place. I don't know where to begin. I'm thinking about hosting a first-time homebuyer workshop.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get the sponsors? What do I do?
So you're meeting with Tara Keller Williams, right?
Well, she's pretty far away. I'm meeting with the one that's closest to me. But yes, okay. I'm meeting with her at 2:00 too.
Oh, okay. Well, she's in 7L with Keller Williams, and she uses 7L, and she's with Keller Williams. So what you can do to get sponsors, you really so when you're a realist, so just so everybody knows, she's new to real estate. They want to know you. Like lenders want to know you because they want you to bring business to them. But what I will say, lenders, title, home inspectors, they want to know you because they want you to use them. What I will say you could do, and this is what I recommend to people who want to build relationship referral businesses that are new, is have an event and make that first event like a grand opening or a launch party for you. So then when you're calling on your phone and you're just like, hey, Susie, it's Monique. I just got into real estate and I'm going to be having a grand opening party and I'd love for you to come. That's a very different conversation than who do you know that wants to buy or sell a house?
Right.
And everybody loves free food.
Right.
So that's just like an idea. And I don't know if anybody else has done home buyers. I've done a couple home buyers and the numbers aren't that high in my area. So does anybody have any insight on home buyer workshop?
That's sort of like, I do those from time to time, maybe once every other month or so. My biggest turnout honestly was at my church. I got them to, basically just let all the members know I was doing it. And I got maybe about 4 buyers out of that one and a seller.
That's
But as far as like people to work with me, when I asked the lender, she was very happy to work with me. And the other person that was there with me was a title company. So I asked if they would provide the food and the beverages, and they had no problem with doing that. We each took about 20 minutes to explain our role in the process, and they had Subway sandwiches and sodas.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. One more question. Any
Mhm.
ideas on the venue? Where did you hold your first work event?
My first event was at the Cookout. I don't know if you guys have them in Florida, but it was like essentially someone else compared it to like a Dairy Queen because they sell like hamburgers and fries and chicken sandwiches, but then they also have a lot of milkshakes. So that's where I held my first one.
And the was it Henry who answered the question? Who answered the question for me?
No, it was
No.
Jazz.
Yes.
Jazz,
Yeah.
can you share which venue you used for your event?
For the homebuyer seminar, I'll either do it at the office. The last one, like I said, was at my church, so they had like a hall that we had it in there. But I think my next one is probably gonna be at I actually met the owner of a restaurant out here. That he's not open on Monday, so he said that I can do one there next time on a Monday.
Okay.
Just trying to do different places. I was thinking about doing one at Panera Bread or at the library. But so far it's only been like the office and my church.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
So
Monique.
Monique,
No problem. Go ahead, Henri.
so so one of my questions is, I am going to have a launch party or a launch event,
Okay.
and it was also proposed, or I guess to me, that I have, not a broad, I guess, event for all of my, you know, anybody in my phone, but have one that's more specialized for
Mhm.
sort of like my VIP people. And
Mhm.
so when you have my most important, people who have referred me before,
Right.
people in that circle, do you do the same types of things like door prizes and things like that, or is it a totally different model?
You can do the same thing for them, or you could do a different model. So depending on how small it is, so the more you dig into like the 7L community, he has what he calls event mastery. And so there's 2 types of events that Michael promotes, and one is your all YAP. YAP stands for Yearly Appreciation Plan. And so that's like having 3 events that is open to everybody in your sphere. And then he has the top YAP, which is open to the 5 to 150 in your sphere. And there's like a quarterly event for them. And depending on who you are. So me, I don't have like I don't have 15 people. 150 people. So I don't need 4 events. So I would specialize my events, like something for my running group, something for my Dave Ramsey group, something for my networking group, and maybe something for my sorority, And so it's very targeted and limited on who those people are. So in your case, let's say you had 50 people that are super close to you. You could do something smaller, but you would still want to have a way for them to give you referrals.
Okay.
And that's through the door prize. So really the idea is you're constantly like showing them love, appreciation, and generosity. And then you ask for the referral at the point of the door prize entry form. And then there's like a follow-up routine, right? You follow up with anyone who refers somebody. Then you follow up with the referral, the referred person. Then you thank them. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of touches and like communication around it.
Okay.
Thank you.
But yeah, you can do both. But I recommend, like, if you're gonna do like grand opening, because you can only grand open one time unless
Right.
you keep changing brokers, and then you can like grand open every time. So I would reach the most people that way.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Right, for the grand opening, and then
Yes.
right, so they would be 2 separate events.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you would have, so like as a new, like if someone came to me and they're like, Monique, I'm having a grand opening, I'd be like, great, what's the next event? So for me, this year I think I'm gonna have a taco event, a milkshake event, like a Taco Tuesday whenever I'm back in town, a milkshake event, and then I'm gonna do a pie day with pictures with Santa, right? So those are the ones that everyone's gonna get invited to
Okay.
throughout the year. Then for you, if you're gonna have like you want to cater to your top people, then one girl I know has like a crawfish boil for her people, and it has like 35 people there. But they know every year at the park this is where they're gonna be. Someone has you can have like a sit down dinner at a nice restaurant. It's really up to you what it is, but you can ask them. A guy I know, he's in health and benefits. He's not an agent, but he uses 7L. He is doing a mastermind because his clients are like more like businesses, because he's business to business. So he asked them what they wanted, and they wanted a mastermind on building referrals. So that's what they're doing.
Thank you so much. I'm signing off now. I will talk to you soon.
All right. Feel free to reach out anytime, Carla.
I will. Take care.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Jazz, do you have any questions from the presentation?
No, not at this time.
Okay. So now I will tell you guys about the Referral Mastermind series. So it's 8 weeks. Normally, it's $147 value. We will meet once per week and implement strategies on a weekly basis. Now, what that looks like is I'm off every other Friday. So my goal is to do more teaching on the Fridays that I'm off and be available. And then on the Fridays that I'm not off, I will be on for less structural teaching and questions and answers to help move you along with your strategy, with your implementation. But we will cover the whole book. I just will not be at a computer. I will be doing it from my phone on my weeks at work. We will always have questions and answers. I will send you, with every single class that we have, I will send you additional information to support the journey through 7L. It'll be more information than you ever wanted. And you'll probably think like, how am I supposed to do all of this? But you will definitely have the resources to move forward. And then there's a one-on-one call with myself that everybody will get. And then not included on this list is I have a Facebook group, and with that group, I recently started it, and also the virtual mastermind came out of the fact that I have connected with people across the nation who are interested and want to stay connected. And this is the best way I can do it with like my schedule. And I want to support, I want to give back. I believe in this strategy. It has helped me and it's helped others. And I just want to keep spreading the word about it. And so I want to be a resource to the very best of my ability. So I started a 7 Levels Facebook group that everybody gets added to. And I will begin answering questions in the group for everyone. So, for example, how Carla asked, like, how do you get your sponsors? Well, I can answer that for her, but I can also answer it for everybody because everybody's going to be looking for sponsors at some point or another, or they're going to be looking to scale their event from like, okay, I used to have my event in the parking lot at a restaurant, but now I want to go to the Spirit of Norfolk or something like that. So I want to be available. And so you'll have that resource always and forever. And then you'll be able to attend any virtual mastermind I have going forward. It is not going to cost $147. It is going to be a $50 donation to Smile, which is a nonprofit in Norfolk, Virginia. And they are a charity that supports children who have been diagnosed with life-threatening illnesses. And their goal is to make their life more comfortable. For example, there was a young boy who's diagnosed with life-threatening illness, and he was wheelchair bound, and he could still do things for himself, but he needed an adjustable wheelchair to like go up and down, but insurance wouldn't cover it. So what Smile does is they meet the family where they are and then take them to where it is most comfortable, so that these children can have a higher quality of life. So they were able to find a used wheelchair for him, and now he's more self-sufficient because he can raise to the countertop and make a sandwich. He can turn the lights on and off. And so that's why I picked them as the charity of choice for this. And then, so if you are interested, I will, after the call, send out an email with the registration link and the PowerPoint that I use, so that everybody can see it and reference it if they would like. But all you would need to do is to sign up, and we would start on January 31st. So you would have time to order the book and read the book, which I encourage. You do not have to read it before we start, but I encourage at least trying to read it, just because like the first time you read it just to get through it, and the second time you dive in it to implement. I've heard that from other people, and then also from my own experience, I recommend it. So with that, that is the end of my presentation. Does anyone have any additional questions?
No, but it was very informational. Thank you.
No problem. And Jasmine, where are you from? Like what city or state?
I'm in Newport News.
Okay, perfect.
But I'm actually probably going to be moving to Florida later this year.
Oh, nice. What part of Florida?
I don't know yet. Probably Plantation.
Where's that? What's that by?
It's near Miami, maybe about an hour from Miami.
Oh, cool, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Henri, do you have any questions, comments, concerns?
No, thank you. It was great. I'm planning my first event, so I'm sure as I go along, I will have more questions.
Do you have any words for Jasmine? Because you've read the book and you've been through book club with the book before, so
that
she's never read the book.
Yeah, that, and I've seen Michael Meyer. I've actually, been to one of his, in-person seminars, and so he's quite passionate. I mean, what I will say is that, when building a business, cold calling just really didn't work for me. I mean, so whenever you, as you know, as a real estate agent, it's all about who you know, and it's all about, letting people know that you're in real estate. So the referral mechanism, I think, works much, much better for me than cold calling or, spending millions of dollars on advertising and things like that. So just looking at the people I know, and even the people I've helped buy a house have already referred me to their friends. And so that has been very helpful because, it shows that referral works. And then when you think about it, if you need a plumber, or if you need, anybody, you say, well, who do you know who does such and such? And so I want to be the name of the people in my sphere. And then as I help more people, then that will grow. And so I really am dedicated to building a referral-based business.
Awesome. Thank you.
And then Jasmine, I'm going to add, because you mentioned that you were potentially moving, and I don't know if you're moving to an area where you already have a community or network built up, but if you're not, then, one of the things Michael says is that you can borrow people. And by borrow people, he means like, in my case, since I run with the group that's national, then I could get in with them. So here I am in Mississippi. I got here about a month, 6 weeks ago. And if I wanted to have an event, they have 150 people in their group. So I could just go get me a couple of sponsors and be like, hey, we're having like Taco Tuesday, free tacos on us. And then my job would be to invite every single person by probably Messenger, because I don't have access to them like directly by phone or email, but I'm in the Facebook group. So I can just say, hey, team leaders, I'm going to host this event for all of your people. And let's say 50 of them show up. Like, well, that's cool. I didn't know them yesterday, so it's all good.
Right.
You know, so you can just like borrow people from different things.
Yeah, definitely. That's great.
So, well,
And then the only other thing I wanted to tell you, Jasmine, is that Michael Myers, he has a podcast where he actually, it's just a free podcast that he actually has guests on, and they really tell how it works logistically. And so one of the ladies there, she actually moved to a new place, didn't know anybody. So she went to a local church and just asked them, could she have an Easter egg hunt for their church? So she said she would sponsor everything. And so that was her event. But in that event, she met the whole church.
Gotcha.
You know what? So, and she really didn't talk about real estate a lot while during the Easter egg hunt, but she did collect all their information. And because she just did that out of the goodness of her heart, I mean, she had the Easter eggs for the kids. So she met families. And then based on that, her moving to a new area, she got to know a whole church, who then started to refer her. And then another pastor said, oh, well, you did that for them. Could you come over and do an event for our church?
Nice. Okay.
Right. So, I mean, that's just an idea of what she did, moving to a completely different area.
Got you. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
and that link will be in the email I send out.
Okay, cool.
So you'll be good to go.
Thank you.
All right, so that's all I have. I'm going to go ahead and end the call if everyone else is good. And in the email, I'll send the registration link. And feel free to share that with anyone who you think might be interested. And it's not just agents, title. I have a moving company, a storage company in my my physical mastermind here that we're having in Mississippi. So, so yeah, just all kinds.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right, I will talk to you guys soon.
Yes, talk to you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.